good citizens of Nigeria. You're listening to Bekeme on the Good Citizen Radio Show. I hope you all have had a wonderful, wonderful week. You know how I say always, I've had a great week, no matter how it is. I feel good every time that I come here. The show is brought to you by CSR in Action, and it's funded by ACT Foundation, aka ACT Foundation, which is a grant-making organization in the areas of health, environment, entrepreneurship, and leadership. It helps to address the various challenges across the African continent. And, of course, you know why they would want to support this initiative. It's because the Good Citizen Initiative is an initiative that aims to drive active citizenship amongst Nigerians. So we don't want a situation where we just sit and wait for another round of elections and we're not prepared. We don't have the right people, we don't have the right attitudes. And it's not just about elections, it's about the way that we behave every day. Today on the show, we're actually going to be discussing a very important topic that's dear to my heart. Because I'm a woman and because this is something that I see all the time, and it has been reported worldwide to be a major issue. We're talking about violence against the girl child. I know that you're expecting xenophobia because we've had a recent spate of xenophobic attacks on foreigners, particularly blacks. I mean, I would call it black on black crime because we ain't foreigners in South Africa. We have a long shared history. But the recent spate of attacks has actually sent shivers down the backs of everyone. I was actually invited by the Government Enterprise Fund of South Africa to come speak at their annual conference at the end of the month. But of course, this has put paid to it. I also heard this evening that the South African Embassy in Nigeria has closed shop. What is sad about all of this is the way that we have responded in this part of the world as well. We've had reprisal attacks in Nigeria, and that unfortunately has gone crazy. The people, opportunists who have been waiting on the sidelines for an opportunity to take advantage of the delicate situation did. I know that there's a lot of suffering and hunger in our nation today, but I don't know whether this is justified. What they did, innocent business persons in the Novara Mall are suffering right now, having lost millions of naira just for being entrepreneurial, for taking their business somewhere where they thought that people would need the things that they have. They've also been reprisal attacks in Zambia, and even the Zambian team, in addition to the Madagascar team, national teams actually cancelled their friendly matches. While we have estimates for the amounts of deaths, injuries, and displacement and value of property damage, there's little information about the abuse targeted at women, both local and foreign women, during these attacks. As you know, women are an easy target in such situations, and I cannot imagine how to a large extent they've been taking advantage of. This is why, it's still very important to discuss violence against the girl child. We know that in countries like South Africa, grown men actually go out looking for virgin girls to have sex with in order to cure themselves of AIDS. The United Nations defines violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. Before I go on, I want to open the lines. The number to call is 0700 93 93 93. Again, the number to call is 0700 93 93 93. I remember that when I was a young woman growing up amongst other young women and men, I could remember that before you even said anything, a guy is threatening to slap you, or the first thing you say is slut, prostitute, ashewo. Like, for what? Like, you just literally just said something to upset somebody. It's not like you insulted them or anything, and they're coming at you, calling you all sorts of names. If you're that person, you know that you're being violent against, female. And even now, you meet people on the road and somebody's telling you, I can't deal with you. You are not, go and call me your brother or your husband, or they start with your husband. So the assumption, and I know that I deviate a little bit, the assumption is if you're a grown person, a grown woman, you should have a husband. And they're taken aback. For them, they're even more assured that you're a prostitute if you are mature, you have a car, and yet you have no husband. But then they put that aside, they forgive you a little bit and say, I'm not talking to you. This is, say, in a situation where somebody hits your car. Go and call your brother for me, since you don't have a husband. So if you don't have a brother, go call anybody. They would rather talk to anybody other than you, the woman, because, you don't mean much. Or or how many women have gone through the situation where you go out with a guy or several guys, and you actually may have paid for the meal, but then the security guard doesn't acknowledge you. So you all are strolling back out, and he's saying, well done, sir. And they're literally looking past you. It's crazy. Now, in a country like Nigeria, the violence is so widespread and pervasive and remains a harsh reality. These violent situations occur against our girls in our homes, amongst our families, schools, communities, and other places where girls should feel safe. There was a time when I had heard of a particular situation, and I thought that I should go online and research, what really happened. And then I stumbled upon a list on Wikipedia of the youngest mothers, and I could see 5-year-olds who were pregnant or who had children. And I just imagine the trauma that child would have had to go through. And the sad part is the abuse was done by, remember, typically a close member of the family, sometimes a grandfather, sometimes a father, sometimes an uncle, and all of that. And, it was crazy. And the sad part again was that when the families found out, they didn't do anything. They let it happen, or they moved away. In one instance, they actually moved away from the town, moved to another town. They were more concerned about the stigma on maybe the It's not like, so they continued living with the grandfather, but they moved from the area. And then you hear situations where they still blame the girl child. It's your fault. Why did you go there? Or, this is not a convenient time to have this conversation. So it's really sad because victims actually get victimized in these situations. Victims get victimized and they grow up to be really, really pained adults. The reason why it's good to have these conversations is that, the girl child must be given the opportunity to express herself, and, she must be protected. Because violence against girls threaten not just our survival, I'm going to lump myself in, and health, but also our emotional well-being and future prospects. Everybody is aware in Nigeria by now of what happened at Novara Mall. And can you just imagine if some of the hoodlums had happened to meet a young woman at any of the stores? Imagine, what it would be. Imagine the traumatizing situation they may choose to put that child through at that point in time, because, it's a free for all. Are you imagining it wherever you are? I know many can't imagine it, especially if you're not a woman, but it's a crazy, crazy, crazy situation. I also remember reading about the situation of the father, the man who did the Killing Me Softly video. Apparently he had 5 daughters, and 5 of them, or at least 3 of them, had been sexually abused. And the first daughter, had 3 children for her father. She had 3 children for her father. Her mother lived in the house, but her mother herself may have gone through some sort of abuse, whether physical or mental, but she could do nothing for her child. And it's instructive that they were in a society such as the US, where they should have the sort of support that they require, and they couldn't. So we have a guest on the show, Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi, who is a legal practitioner and public administrator, currently working for the Lagos State government as the coordinator of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team. She has in the past 3 years facilitated the ratification of 2 landmark executive orders by the governor of Lagos State, the Sex Offenders Register and Mandated Reporting 2014, and the Lagos State Safeguarding and Child Protection Program of 2016. Hello, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the show, Ms. Adeniyi. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm very well. I'm very, very well. So we couldn't get you in on the show, but thank you for joining us via call. So tell me, in your time since you've been working on this, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the victories?
Some of the challenges in responding to sexual gender-based violence include the rape culture that we have, where the members of the society name and shame survivors, shift their attention off from the perpetrator to the survivor, and they try to truncate justice by begging on behalf of the perpetrator. And even in certain instances where the survivor is reported, maybe due to pressure from the family, from the society, from religious institutions and clerics, they now want to pull out, want to withdraw their initial report or their initial complaint.
Yes.
So I would say that is a major challenge because, yes, a crime is committed against the state, so it's the state's prerogative to prosecute or not. But the fact of the matter is that most times we need the statement of the witnesses who is in this instance the victim or the survivor. So it will be very difficult to go to court if the victim or the survivor is not willing to testify. And we do not want to traumatize the survivor, so at that point we will not push it.
So are children expected to testify?
Yes, because the child is the witness. The child is both the victim or survivor and the witness.
Right. And
of course, when children are giving testimony in court, it's not done in open court.
So it's closed court. Yes.
Of the fact that it's closed, and it's just the parties and the legal representatives that are in court.
Okay.
So I would say that that's a major challenge. So modest successes, I would say that it's a bit contradictory actually, because the success is that we now have people reporting on behalf of others. Stated reporting policy in Lagos State where people can report anonymously, give information to relevant government agencies, and of course their identity it remains confidential, and government goes in and effects arrests and rescues and does everything that is necessary in ensuring that the survivor is safe and the perpetrator is duly punished. So I would say that is good, because over the years, from 2016 to date, a good number of cases that we handle are reported by mandated reporters, whistleblowers or good Samaritans, whichever terminology we would like to give it.
That's fantastic.
It means that people are more confident in the system, people are becoming more aware of different support services available, and because in Lagos State we have the political will We are seeing an
Yes.
increase in formal reporting of these cases. Yes, so that I would say that's one modest success.
Right, that's fantastic. So, but how do you help to make sure the children are safe in this? And I know that there's probably a paucity of resources. So I'll give you an example. I report the situation with a particular child, and the Lagos State government steps in, but then the perpetrator of such a crime it lives in the same area, or the mother and father are not very careful. They maybe send their children out to sell, and they face attackers out there. How do you protect the child in that situation?
And this child has been abused.
The child has been abused, but then if you let them continue to stay with their parents, they still have access to, or the abusers still have access to them.
Okay, good. So what we will do in that situation, because it's a team effort, so we will work with the Child Protection Unit of the Ministry of Youth and Social Development. Mm-hmm. Certain instances, if we feel that there is neglect on the part of the parents, child may actually be taken into protective custody and, or reunited with another trusted family member, especially when it's the parent or the guardian that is the offender.
Yes.
In cases of incest, for instance.
Yes.
The child may have to be removed, especially if, let's say, it's the stepfather or the father perpetrating the violence,
yes,
and it comes to our knowledge that the mother was aware.
Yes.
And nothing was done. So, of course, in that situation, the child will be taken into protective custody.
So do you do anything? Are the mothers indicted as well in this situation? So she knew, she did nothing about it.
Yes, it is actually criminal.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so in certain instances, she will be prosecuted. But at the end of the day, we're looking at, this is where the social angle comes in. So the man has been taken away, and now we want to take away the mother. So who would? Yes, government will take the child in, but we will not want to institutionalize children because we need the children to be reintegrated back into the society. So aside from, we need to now find out why it was the mother. Why did the mother keep this to herself without reporting? There are different factors. And we found out that in cases like this, we found out that the women themselves are also victims of domestic violence.
Yes.
So how can a person that is in shackles free another? So there will need to be a lot of psychosocial support and sometimes empowerment. And then, if possible, the child is reunited back with the mother. So the idea is basically that when a child is in this kind of situation, government can take the child into protective custody, sometimes for like 3 to 6 months, depending on the case. And then, if possible, the child is reunited back to with a non-offending parent or a trusted family member. So and then in certain instances, we have the ability to actually relocate the family in certain high-risk cases.
So such as what? Such as, can you give us an example?
High risk where it's obvious that, especially when the society, the community has ganged up. We had a particular case where the community ganged up against the woman. They cut her access to power, to water, just because she reported that her neighbor had been sexually abusing her 4-year-old child.
What?
In that kind of situation.
And they ganged up against her. She's a bad person because they said sorry and she refused.
She refused, and so they cut. It was so bad. They cut access to power, access to water, but frustrating her life. And so, of course, in that kind of situation, yes, government has to assist in relocating her.
That's fantastic.
So we have some high risk cases like that.
So final question to you is, how can we as citizens support the victims of violence? So it's just beyond reporting, and then what role can men and boys play in this campaign? Because they're typically, sometimes it's woman against woman abuse, but it's mostly men, boys against the girl child. So how do you think we can support this drive? Okay, 2 minutes.
I think survivors must be believed. Survivors should be believed.
Right.
It's not, it's unlike other incidents. if somebody is robbed, for instance, your initial response as a member of society is not to blame the person for being out late. You don't ask the person, why was your window wound down? Immediate response. Your immediate response is to empathize.
Should be empathy.
To
Absolutely.
find out if the person is okay.
Right.
Then maybe much later, you cannot say, but
what then actually happened? Don't
whine,
Right.
That kind of response, empathy.
Right.
We need to believe survivors.
Right.
Because when we believe survivors, we encourage them to speak up. We encourage them to share their story, and we encourage them to heal. As members of the society, we need to break this rape culture where we keep on blaming the survivor and protecting the perpetrator.
Okay, boys and men.
Yes, as for boys and men, we believe in promoting positive masculinity. We believe that men and boys have a good role to play in ending gender-based violence. And so, as parents, we need to start to train our boys to respect girls, to understand that girls are not inferior, to protect girls where necessary, and to be good bystanders.
Thank you so much, Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Been very, very instructive. Well done to you and the Lagos State government team. Have a great evening. So, to our listeners, you've been listening to Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi, who's a legal practitioner and public administrator, and who currently works for Lagos State government as the coordinator of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team. We might be able to take one call on 0700 923 923 93. We might be able to take one call on 0700 923 93 93. And if you have any messages, you can send us at Good Citizen NG or WhatsApp message on our WhatsApp line on 0906 2634 111. Now, in terms of... Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Ndidi. Good evening. Thanks for calling. How are you today?
I'm good. I thank the Lord. Happy New Month to you.
Same to you. So what's up?
Yes.
We need to take this quickly.
Yes, I'm fine. One of the problems stopping people from coming out to speak is that one, the victimization.
Yes.
If somebody has been raped, they victimize. The society will just look at the person as if the person is trash.
Yes.
You understand? That's one major problem. Then the second problem is, the trauma of narrating what happened in court. It's as if the person is reliving that experience.
Especially the defense then asking them such, incisive questions that make them seem bad. Why did you go there? What were you wearing? How did he do it? What exactly happened?
Oh my goodness. Can you just imagine that? That's very, very horrible.
It is.
Yes. So there has to be a way around about it instead of putting that person around that kind of trauma.
Yeah.
So we know we have some people that have not actually been raped that claim to be raped.
Yes, that's another problem. That's another problem.
Yes, maybe that's why they make them go through that. But then, it's very dehumanizing. I don't think I, as a person, can even stand it.
Dehumanizing is the word. Thank you, Didi. So basically, we just really, really, really need to be more empathetic towards victims of violence in any form. And, tips from today's show is we must raise awareness about harmful traditions and eschew them in our private lives. We are all responsible for this, whether we're a parent, whether we're a caregiver, a teacher, imam, whoever. We need to tackle violence against girls at schools. We should tell our boys, you cannot resort to a punch to settle a quarrel. You cannot resort to, I saw a group of secondary school students literally attacking girls and tearing their clothes because they had finished school. And, we need to be able to listen to victims' experiences and respond to their needs. And finally, more importantly, we need to train up our boy children. We need to train up our men. If you're a man, it's not too late. You need to change your ways. So thank you all for participating on this show. Unfortunately, we could only take one call. Just remember that Didi has won herself a Domino's Pizza, and I just wanted to remind you about Domino's Pizza's latest creation, the sweet, smoky, lip-smacking barbecue burst pizza. I have mine here. Every show I have mine, but I'm eating it with responsibility. So just so you know. And I recently had a nice taste just before I started the show, and I can tell you it's great. So you just go to Domino's at Domino's NG on social media, or you go to one of their stores to pick yourself one. Thank you again to Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi for coming on the show. Remember to keep the feedback coming at Good Citizen NG on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can listen to this episode again and catch up on previous episodes on SoundCloud. Just search for the Good Citizen show. And, just let us know what you think about the show at goodcitizen.com/survey. Everybody who calls the show now has to fill our survey. We need to know how we're doing at goodcitizenng.com/survey. And then you yourself, and win a pizza. I'm your host, Bekeme. The show happens every Friday at 8 p.m. on Inspiration FM 92.3, number one family radio station. Thank you to ACT Foundation, aka ACT Foundation, for supporting this show, and Domino's Pizza as well. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Just keep on thinking about how you can be that great citizen and how you can impact lives. Let love lead all the time. God bless you.